Welcome to Synopsys webinar. In this webinar today, I will introduce you to a new faster approach to software development and system bring-up using hybrid prototyping over real-world PCI interface. My name is Varun Agarwal. I look into product marketing and business development aspects of verification hardware solutions, primarily focusing on ZeBu emulation, HAPS prototyping, and virtual solutions. Prior to marketing, I have led R&D teams into verification tool development and have worked alongside customers to understand design verification challenges and suggest and deploy solutions to tackle these challenges. In this session today, we will start with putting forth the problem statement before moving on to the solution and eventually demonstrating the implementation. After this, we will open the forum for questions and discussion. So why do we need early software development? Why we want to bring the system up early in the design cycle, and why can't we just wait for the hardware to be available completely and then go about developing software? Let's find out. New verticals like AI, cloud, IoT, automotive, 5G are shaping requirements for the SoC design. Increasingly, we're seeing big non-traditional players like software houses, e-commerce, automotive vendors et al. Taking interest in hardware design business. With consumer demand pushing for smart everything, role of application software in the SoC design and application is increasing. Today, software amounts to 50% of the SoC development cost. Verification, validation, and software combined take 3/4 of the cost. This also brings in new challenges in SoC validation space. A typical Android boot requires 30 billion cycles, and multiple layers of software validation require trillions of design cycles to be run. Automotive functional safety is further pushing the design cycles to validate the SoC. One thing that is certain with this is that we require speed. Fastest platforms that can run more design cycles accurately will deliver highest value. The other factor which is critical is time to market. No matter how much we save on the cost, if we don't deliver products on time, we lose the opportunity. Synopsys proposes triple shift left for fast TTM. The first shift left is the verification and the software shift left, where we propose parallel software and the hardware development. The second shift left is the validation shift left, where we find more bugs pre-silicon to save cost and time of respin in post-silicon. The third shift left is the enablement shift left for enabling early system bring-up for end-user software bring-up, leading to the volume production. So now we understand the need for the early software development and system bring-up. The next step is important to understand what solutions do we have to achieve it. So the question that we have at hand is, how do we accelerate SoC and software development? First solution that we can propose is virtual prototyping, the System C and TLM based software models for system components. These models, when integrated, provide a functional system for software development. But a fully virtual system doesn't have RTL or cycle accurate design. Also, developing all the models take time. What if we don't have all the models ready? Plus, where is the actual RTL on which eventually the software would run? The second approach is the FPGA prototyping approach, where we use FPGA-based systems which execute real design cycles at hundreds of megahertz of speed. But for a system, we require RTL for all the components. And for a big design, it may also lead to a huge requirement for the FPGA board as well. Can we wait that long, and do we care for the full system RTL and cycle accuracy? How about a hybrid solution? Can we marry virtual with FPGA? Can we model system components which do not concern us in virtual and then get cycle accurate RTL for the critical components on the FPGA? This slide shows milestones for a typical development flow. Initially, a virtual prototype is available from the output of the system engineering and platform architecture phase of the design. At this point, both hardware verification and software development phases may begin largely in parallel. hardware teams developing RTL, and software teams relying on the virtual prototype. FPGA prototypes are usually brought up after the verification is demonstrating on the order of 80% of functional coverage, and the team is confident to release it for the hardware-software validation and system integration. The validation milestone is considered complete when the hardware-software validation and system integration phase is completed. To improve the schedule and system quality, design teams are seeking a way to start the hardware-software validation and system integration sooner. This will give them time for a larger validation. But the software and the hardware validation and integration phase depends on the majority of the RTL being complete. So in a traditional flow, hardware-software validation depends on the majority of the RTL. In a hybrid prototyping flow, milestones 1 and 2 remain the same. Now we create a virtual plus FPGA-based prototype using the intermediate RTL drops. This results in shifting the validation phase, which in turn paralyzes and reduces the software development time, and shifting validation phase early in the cycle. This adjusted milestone gives you longer hardware-software validation phase. So this hybrid prototyping approach allows a mix of intermediate RTL drops with the virtual models earlier in the product schedule and allows for earlier software hardware validation and system integration. It also lengthens the validation phase, which results in improved quality because I am able to operate the prototype using the software stack with high fidelity I/O and RTL. With the hybrid methodology, time to prototype is drastically reduced. Let's look at the components of a high-speed hybrid prototyping setup. The first of the component is the host machine, which is running Linux operating system on Intel machine. This will have either a PCI 8 or a 4-lane card slot to connect to the devices. The second component is a PCI MGB kit to connect the host machine with HAPS-80 platform. And the third component is the HAPS-80 platform itself, which is running user RTL on the Xilinx UltraScale FPGA boards. This host machine will launch the virtualizer VDK, which in turn will host the OS for the ARM system and related software stack and applications. Host machine is connected to the HAPS using 8x4 cables, which converts 8-lane PCI into a 4-lane PCI. In terms of internal system components, VDK host will run CPU, interconnect, memory, and other soft models of the user system. It will connect to a PCI root complex model, which will connect to a PCI endpoint proxy adapter to talk to the parent host machine. We will install PCI driver on the VDK, which will enable interaction with the PCI device on HAPS using VFIO on the host machine. On the Linux host, we will have the VFIO driver and the IOMMU to interact with the PCI device connected to the PCI card installed on the machine. Host will be connected to the HAPS system using a physical PCI 4-lane link, delivering transactions at a 1 Gbps link speed. And the final component is the HAPS system, which will host the rest of the components of the user system. All these components will be in the RTL form mapped onto the Xilinx FPGA. These components would be PCI endpoint IP with AXI interface on the other hand, interconnect, AXI master, slave, ports, memory controllers, and memory, and the rest of the AXI subsystem. The PCI design, which is running onto the FPGA board, will be pushed by a pipe clock of 125 MHz running at full speed. Synopsys Hybrid has 3 pieces delivering best value combined and alone. First of the piece is the virtualizer. It is a System C based virtual prototyping platform. It has the largest model library and the reference designs, assisting in the system development. It also provides you creation tools for models and VDKs for the full SoC. Along with it, you get full platform visibility and control for easy debugging and fault injection. Additionally, it gives you debug synchronization support for all the major software debuggers. So whatever be the debugger that you use, you can use it with Virtualizor for the complete software debugging. So VDK is the industry's leading virtual platform with lowest modeling efforts and the highest productivity. The other piece is the HAPS-80 platform, which is an FPGA-based ASIC prototyping platform. With HAPS, you get the largest daughter board and the IP ecosystem to model all the components that you want and connect to any of the peripheral IOs. Additionally, it gives you highest multi-FPGA performance with real-world IOs. And it also gives you a flexible FPGA configuration which is scalable to more than 3 billion gates. In terms of debugging, you get full signal debug with GSV and at speed debug with DTD. With HAPS-80, you get industry's fastest FPGA prototyping solution. The last piece is the PCI Gen 3 link, which is delivering 1 Gbps link throughput for real speed software development experience. With this type of a hybrid solution, you get accuracy and speed of FPGA with flexibility and visibility of virtual prototype. Now let's move on to the demo. In the demo setup, we are using an ARM Cortex A53 processor, which is sitting on the CPU slot, and on it we have a vanilla Linux 4.14 kernel version. Xilinx PCI drivers for the subsystem has been ported on this machine, which will help interact with the Xilinx subsystem IP, which is sitting onto the FPGA. On the Linux host machine, we are running a CentOS 7.4 OS, which is running 3.3 Linux kernel. On the HAPS system, we have a GTS receiver on the NGB port and Xilinx PCI endpoint subsystem IP with built-in DMA engine. It has AXI interface on the interconnect side, where DMA engine is sitting on AXI slave port talking to the interconnect. AXI master port connects to the VRAM memory controller, which is connected to the block memory on the downstream path. DMA operation in this kind of a setup is performed between the DRAM memory on the VDK and the block RAM on the HAPS-80 system. Let's go ahead and look at the demo. In this demo, let's evaluate the hardware connections first. See, on the right hand side, there is a HAPS-80 2FPGA system which has Xilinx PCI subsystem and block RAM as described in the demo setup earlier. This board, as you can see, has two MGB slots, namely slot number 1 on the left and slot number 2 on the right. In this demo, we have a 4-lane PCI cable with Riser 1 MGB daughter card, which is connected in this MGB 1 slot. Here we have Linux host machine on the left. On the CPU, you can see a PCI 8-lane card connected, and on this slot that we have a OSS PCI HIV 8-lane to 4-lane cable. Collectively, if you see system totally, there are 3 components in it: Linux machine, PCI card, and HAPS-80. Let's move on to the software side and on the Linux host machine. This is CentOS 7.4 machine, which is running 3.1 kernel. Let's do LSPCI to see the PCI devices. As you can see here, on bus number 3, slot 0, there is a Xilinx device. This is the device which is inside the HAPS. This is the HAPS PCI endpoint device. If we further inquire this particular device to see the configuration, we can see that it uses VFIO drivers. So you can see there is a kernel driver VFIO in place. So the device on the bus number 3, which is in the HAPS, is connected to VFIO driver. At this point in time, we check if the IOMMU is enabled and the other graphic card is turned off. Once the IOMMU is enabled, IOMMU groups are displayed. For this particular device, you can see that it belongs to the IOMMU group number 1. If we also see the VFIO device in the system, we can notice that it also is connected to the same IOMMU group number 1. So as you can see, this VFIO has one IOMMU group attached to it. Eventually, the Linux host is connected to a VFIO driver, then confined to IOMMU group, and then finally connected to the device on the apps. As you can see, now we are launching the Virtual Studio. This is the console for Virtual Studio, and this is the vdk.sys file which has the configuration for the complete virtual prototype. At this point in time, we'll start to build the vdk.sys file. Once the file is built, we will be able to see different components built into the system. Now, as the system is built, on the right side you can see the memory map available for different devices. On the left side you can see different components of the devices and all the peripherals connected. You can see there is an ARM fast mount present. Now this Virtual Studio is talking to the endpoint PCI proxy, which is in turn talking to the VFIO driver. These are the parameters of the endpoint. You can see in this parameter window that the device it is assigned to is the bus number 3 slot 0 device, and the VFIO group that it is attached to is VFIO group number 1. Please note this is the same device which is also available on the host machine. This is the same Xilinx Corporation device. As you can see here, the same device sitting on this bus number 3 slot 0. Similarly to the host machine, you can also see the VFIO is being completely matched. At this point in time, we will launch the prototype, which will eventually start the booting of the machine. At this point, the VDK machine is booting. As you can see, it is starting the network on the machine, and on the left hand side, the yellow part, if you see, are the different software breakpoints which are being set. One thing to notice here is that for this particular VDK host, the device number is sitting on bus number 1 slot 0, equivalent to the Linux host machine bus number 3 slot 0 device. As you can see, this is the RC, and now if we will go ahead and we'll try to do LSPCI on the machine, we will see both the devices. So we're going to do login and then we do LSPCI. You can see there are two devices. One is the RC, which is sitting on bus number 0, slot 0, and the other one is the endpoint, the same Xilinx device which is sitting on apps. You can see the configuration of the device. If we see the detailed configuration of the device, we will notice that the device has the same capabilities which we saw on the Linux device. It has the same capabilities and also interrupts and also the memory regions assigned to it. You can see it has 2 bar memory regions. We will copy it from here and try to compare the host machine data side by side. If we try to compare the host machine data side by side, we can see both are the same. Now let's move on to the driver part. So at this point, we will install the PCI Xilinx driver onto the system. With this installation, the device is now available to be accessed. You can see multiple XGMA devices being created. Now we are enabling the logging on the VDK. Once the logging is enabled, when we will run the test case, you will notice all the transactions that are coming through. Going inside the test directory, now we are trying to run the DMA test on the PCI device of HAPS AV. This test will perform DMA operation from VDK DRAM eventually to the BRAM of the HAPS. You can see multiple transactions that are going through via this test case. If I try to highlight one of the transactions, you can see a send memory request which is going to the offset 201. So at this point in time, our test case is complete and the demo is complete. Thanks. So in summary, deploying optimal strategy to selectively partition SoC design blocks between virtual and FPGA environment, deliver maximum prototyping performance. These steps are faster to bring up and reconfigure. Direct PCI interface without any additional protocol conversions or overhead deliver maximum link throughput. And finally, with hybrid, you get best of both the worlds. You get the flexibility and visibility of virtual and accuracy and speed of HAPS. Let's move on to the Q&A session and look at the questions available. Good part of a short webinar is that now we have good time for questions. So I'll keep the prototype overview for reference. So let's move on to the question first. So the first question that I have is that what kind of companies or user would like to go for this approach? So one thing that we need to understand is that hybrid prototyping approach enables early system access for software development. Once we know that, then we know that any user or company which is developing software, driver, application test cases, or validating workloads for an IP or part of system or part of subsystem or SoC, and which either doesn't have the complete RTL ready or doesn't require the complete system RTL, can go for this approach. Companies in enterprise storage, networking, AI application processors, or GPU designing, which require huge data transfer for design validation, can benefit from this approach. This approach will also allow them to transfer huge amount of data or workload from host machine to the RTL on the HAPS at much higher PCI speed. Additionally, if a company would like to test their device RTL against a new system core which has a new ARM core available and for which they don't have the RTL, all they have is ARM fast model, then they can use this approach, because this approach doesn't require all the RTL components to be available at the same time. So the second question that I see is, what is the end-to-end validation performance in this setup? So overall validation performance depends on multiple factors like design clock frequency on the FPGA, RTL design processing logic, RTL data buffering logic, FPGA memory availability, consumptions, bufferings, host machine to transfer to HAPS transfer link, virtual machine simulation speed and data generation speed, and etc. So there are multiple factors which actually decide the end-to-end validation performance. So keeping the performance of VDK and HAPS as is, so if we say that the HAPS and VDK are performing at full of their speed, then high-speed hybrid prototyping on direct PCI can transfer link data at 1 gigabit per second. So if all the components, the producer, the consumer, and the associate memory buffers are not the bottleneck of the transaction, then you can transfer up to 1 gigabyte of data per second. Now, the third question that I have is, can this setup support multiple endpoints? It's a very good question. Yes, it is technically possible. Each FPGA on HAPS has 2 MGB slots. So if a user design spawns over 2 FPGA, then he can effectively use 4 parallel PCI links using 4 MGB slots. Now all these links will be connected to the host machine with the respective PCI card. And one instance of VDK can access all these PCI devices and their memory maps using VFIO driver. And this type of setup, though this is a single design setup, but this can be extended for multiple designs. Plus, in this combined setup, you would require IO-MMU grouping to be done accordingly. Additionally, if you have multiple design instances which you want to run in parallel, then first of all on the HAPS you will have to run it on the MDM mode, the multi-design mode, and after that the process remains the same. The next question that I have is, what is the effort to set this system up? So how much is the effort to set this up? Thanks for the question. So the question is, how much time and effort would it take to bring up hybrid prototyping systems? Keeping the VDK configuration and HAPS partitioning and bring up efforts aside, because they are anyway going to be there even if you have a virtual prototyping setup or a pure FPGA setup. The additional effort is very minimal. All we require is a sudo access host machine with IOMMU enabled, and we need to configure the IOMMU for the respective groups and install the VFIO driver. Once we have done that, everything else is taken care by the VDK. The PCI endpoint proxy configuration, which communicates with the VFIO, is done via VDK. Now the next question is that why is this based on PCIe as opposed to Ethernet or USB, and can it be done on some other protocol? So one thing that we need to understand here is that PCI, unlike Ethernet or USB, is both on-chip and peripheral bus protocol. So what is the advantage of this is that it allows you to connect to the peripheral bus, plus it also allows you to connect to the on-chip bus. Additionally, it is much faster compared to USB or a gigabit Ethernet that you find on the host CPUs. You cannot use USB as it works in the host device configuration generally, unless you use a dual role device. But anyways, USB is not optimal. Using Ethernet doesn't give much of a speed advantage either, plus takes away the flexibility of interacting with the all components of the subsystem. HAPS does have a QSFP plus high speed slot, which can be connected over optical fiber, but that would require a lot of software intervention, and setting up the system with VFIO would be another task. PCIe, on the other hand, can be connected easily, and it allows flexibility and wider availability to the subsystem components. Also, we get 2.5 gigabits per lane, amounting to 10 gigabits for 4 lanes on a single cable. So the next question is, what are the benefits of this approach compared to other hybrid approaches? It's a good question. So I see the biggest benefit of this setup is the link speed and flexibility. This approach, because it uses PCIe, allows easy migration from custom FPGA boards, BYO boards, to HAPS FPGA setups. Also, there is no additional protocol conversion or transactor requirement during the process, as these overheads have their own performance penalty. Comparing it to the other vendor or custom solutions, Synopsys Hybrid is based on industry's best virtual and FPGA prototyping tools, Virtualizer and HAPS-AT respectively. With this, you get largest portfolio of system CTLM ARM CPU models, IP models, designware IPs, and daughter boards and different daughter cards to help in system integration and configuration. The next question I have is, can it be used to model non-ARM systems? Of course, any CPU model on the VDK library can be used. In fact, with PCI interface, you can communicate even with non-ARM systems. The next question that I have is, what are the available debugging capabilities with hybrid prototyping setups? So we'll take it as the last question of this session. You can use debugging capabilities available with both VDK and HAPS in this setup. The best part of the hybrid is that you get best of both. And when you get best of both, you get debugging capabilities of both. Mostly. With VDK, you can do functional tracing and you can do fast transaction logging. In our demo, we showcased fast transaction logging. You can also do coverages, code coverages for the IPs which are modeled with VDK. Plus, VDK supports full platform visibility and fault injection. Additionally, VDK supports all the major third-party debuggers for software debugging and kernel debugging, like KDB, GDB, CheeseD, TDD, etc. In terms of HAPS, you can use GSV, Global State Visibility, to probe the content of all the registers on the board, or DTD, that is Deep Trace Debugging, using a board DDR memory. So the DDR memory which is available on the FPGA board. This can be used for signal probing as well. The advantage of this approach is that because it is a DDR memory, it has wider list of signals that you can dump. Otherwise, the fastest approach is the DRAM instrumentation, which uses on-chip memory for probing. With this, we end the Q&A session. Thanks a lot for attending the webinar. Please visit Synopsys website for more details. You can also mail us for the queries that you may have. We will respond to the remaining queries which we see on the console directly on the respective email IDs. Thank you.